Right now, at this very moment, 3 separate disasters are unfolding across the United States simultaneously. A wildfire that has already burned approximately 145 acres and injured 4 firefighters, with flames spreading across 2 states. A tornado outbreak targeting the Ohio Valley in less than 24 hours. And the deadliest avalanche on American soil in nearly 50 years, with 8 skiers confirmed dead near Lake Tahoe. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you the exact timing for when severe storms arrive in your specific city tomorrow, the precise areas under mandatory evacuation orders right now, and the one weather pattern forming off the East Coast this weekend that could bury parts of the Northeast under a major snowstorm. Not vague information. Exact times, exact cities, exact threats. And here's what nobody else is covering. These 3 events are connected by the same explosive weather pattern reshaping the entire country this week. But the real danger for millions of Americans is still hours away. The Ranger Road fire in the Oklahoma Panhandle has burned approximately 145 acres in Beaver County, Oklahoma, injuring 4 firefighters and destroying several homes, with the fire now spreading into Clark and Meade counties in Kansas. That fire has injured 4 firefighters and destroyed homes, and it is still growing. The Oklahoma Forestry Services reports 4 additional wildfires burning across the state, including the Stevens Fire at 12,428 acres and the Side Road Fire at 3,680 acres. On Wednesday alone, the State Emergency Operations Center received reports of 33 separate fires and hotspots in 23 counties. But that was not the worst of it. Tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has issued a slight risk of severe weather stretching from St. Louis to Columbus, including Indianapolis, Louisville, Cincinnati, and Evansville, with a 5% tornado probability within 25 miles of any point in the core threat zone. And in California, 8 backcountry skiers are dead, and 1 is still missing after a massive avalanche near Lake Tahoe, the deadliest in this country since the 1970s. Here's what nobody else is telling you. The same surge of dry wind fueling the Oklahoma wildfires is colliding with Gulf moisture right now, and that collision is what will trigger the tornado threat tomorrow. If you live anywhere from Chicago to Bowling Green, Kentucky, pay close attention to what comes next. The situation is about to get much worse. Here is why tomorrow's tornado risk is so unusual and so dangerous. Typically, strong tornadoes form in environments loaded with convective available potential energy, the fuel that powers thunderstorms. But tomorrow's setup is different. The atmosphere across the Ohio Valley will have relatively low instability. What it will have is extreme wind shear, and a lot of it. Think of it like this. The atmosphere is a loaded spring with very little padding. When storms do form in this kind of environment, they tend to rotate immediately. Every single one of them becomes a potential tornado producer. Meteorologists call this a low cape, high shear setup, and it is one of the hardest patterns to forecast because the storms look deceptively weak on radar until they are already spinning. That is what makes this so dangerous. Could this threat have been anticipated sooner? Why is the forecast confidence still uncertain just hours before the event? If you are watching this right now, drop your city and state in the comments. I will give you the specific forecast for your area as conditions develop tomorrow. Hundreds of viewers are already doing this and getting critical updates they cannot find anywhere else. Do not wait. Type your location now. Here's the other factor nobody is discussing. The same cold front driving tomorrow's storms is pulling Arctic air behind it. Temperatures will plunge from the upper 60s to the low 30s in less than 12 hours, from tornado warnings to snow flurries. That temperature crash could create dangerous black ice on roads that were dry just hours earlier. Here is your critical timeline, organized so you know exactly when danger reaches your area. Starting in the east, the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast, you are watching a developing situation for Sunday into Monday. A potential nor'easter is forming, and while confidence remains low, the models are now painting a broad zone from Washington, D.C. and Baltimore up the I-95 corridor through Philadelphia, New York City, and Boston into New England. The GFS model shows a more southern track hammering the D.C. and Richmond area with heavy snow potentially reaching into North Carolina. If you are anywhere from southern New Jersey to Quebec, this one is worth monitoring closely through the weekend. But do not be fooled by anyone posting specific snowfall amounts right now. It is too early. The placement, the intensity, even whether it happens at all is still uncertain. We will get to more on that shortly. Now, the central United States, this is where tomorrow's main event unfolds. Bloomington, Illinois, listen carefully. Storms begin popping just after 12 noon. The first wave rolls through between 1 and 3 p.m. But do not think it is over. The atmosphere recovers warmth after that first round, and a second, potentially more dangerous wave fires between 7 and 9 p.m. That is a 1-2 punch lasting 8 to 10 hours. Indianapolis, your window opens around 3 p.m. with heavy rain and strong storms by 5 to 6 p.m. A second wave could slam the city around 8 to 9 p.m. You are looking at lightning, thunder, and intermittent heavy rain from mid-afternoon past 10 or 11 p.m., with the isolated chance of a tornado at any point during that stretch. Louisville, you will be near 70 degrees at 5 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. That warmth is fuel. Strong storms will push through northern Kentucky into southwest Ohio through the evening hours. Cincinnati and Columbus, you sit inside the 5% tornado probability zone. The primary danger window is 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., lingering showers and gusty winds will continue moving through Pittsburgh, West Virginia, and southeastern Ohio. Meanwhile, in the mountain and plains states, Oklahoma is under a state of emergency. Wind gusts exceeding 65 miles per hour are complicating aerial firefighting operations on the Ranger Road fire. Mandatory evacuations remain in effect across parts of Beaver County and into southern Kansas. But here is what happens next that changes everything. For those who have never experienced a low cape, high shear tornado event, here is what to expect tomorrow. The sky may not look threatening. There may be no wall cloud, no obvious green tint, no classic supercell structure. Storms could appear ordinary on radar. Then within minutes, a tornado drops with almost no visual warning. Wind howling, debris flying before you even hear a siren. That is the nature of this setup, and that is what makes it so dangerous for everyone living in the threat zone between Chicago and Bowling Green, Kentucky. Now let me bring you to what is already happening. In Ashland, Kansas, families received mandatory evacuation orders as the Ranger Road fire crossed Highway 283 and advanced toward their homes. Residents were told to drive east toward Coldwater, Kansas, where a shelter was set up at the South Central School's gymnasium. In Woodward, Oklahoma, people evacuated south of Oklahoma Avenue, carrying what they could. Some went to the Moorland Community Center, others to a church, others to the Vici Community Building. 4 firefighters have been injured. Oklahoma Baptist Disaster Relief served 200 meals to first responders in Beaver County in a single day. And in the Sierra Nevada, 6 survivors from the backcountry ski group sat in a rescue shelter, knowing that 8 members of their group did not make it and 1 was still missing. They had started a 3-day trek on Sunday, carrying their own food and supplies to remote huts at 7,600 feet in the Tahoe National Forest. At 6:49 that Sunday morning, the Sierra Avalanche Center had issued an avalanche watch for the area. The group went anyway. A weeks-long snow drought had left the older snowpack hardened and angular. When 3 to 6 feet of new snow fell on top of it, the layers could not bond. The result was a massive storm slab that released on a mountainside. 1 skier is still missing. Remember those 145 acres we mentioned earlier? That fire has injured 4 firefighters, destroyed homes, and is still spreading across 2 states. And tomorrow, millions of Americans from Chicago to Bowling Green are in the path of severe storms, while another possible nor'easter builds for the weekend. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. The Storm Prediction Center, the Oklahoma Forestry Services, and the Sierra Avalanche Center are all issuing warnings simultaneously. That does not happen often. If you are in any of these affected areas, comment your location below right now. I am reading every single comment and responding with specific information. Thousands of people have already done this. Do not wait. This is not just a single storm or a single fire. We are looking at simultaneous wildfire evacuations across 2 states, a multi-round severe thunderstorm and tornado event across the Ohio Valley, a deadly avalanche with an ongoing search and rescue operation in the Sierra Nevada, and a potential nor'easter threatening the entire East Coast this weekend. 4 concurrent disasters unfolding across the country. In Oklahoma, Highways 64, 270, and 283 are compromised by the Ranger Road fire. Smoke is reducing visibility to near zero in some areas. Authorities are telling drivers not to drive through the smoke under any circumstances. All evacuation shelters in Oklahoma had been closed but could reopen at any time as fire conditions evolve. Tomorrow in the Ohio Valley, Interstate 70 and Interstate 65 corridors will be directly in the storm path. Any tornado warning will shut down traffic. Heavy rain will create flash flooding on secondary roads. And here's what most people do not realize. After the storms pass, that Arctic cold front arrives. Temperatures dropping from the upper 60s to the low 30s means any standing water on roadways freezes. Friday morning commuters from Indianapolis to Columbus could face black ice on roads that were flooded just hours earlier. The last time the Ohio Valley dealt with a February tornado event followed by a flash freeze like this, road conditions remained dangerous for more than 48 hours. but the situation was about to reach even further. The official response has been massive but stretched thin. Governor Kevin Stitt declared a state of emergency for 3 Oklahoma counties, Beaver, Texas, and Woodward. FEMA approved 3 fire management assistance grants on Tuesday, covering the Stevens Fire, the Ranger Road Fire, and the 43 Fire. Those grants authorize the federal government to reimburse 75% of eligible firefighting costs for state, local, and tribal governments. 6 Oklahoma Forestry Services fire suppression teams were pre-positioned on Wednesday across Beaver County, Texas County, Woodward, Henrietta, and Shawnee. 4 of those teams responded to fires throughout the day. In California, Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moon confirmed that investigators would look into the decision to proceed with the backcountry trip despite the storm forecast. Rescue crews battled blizzard conditions to reach the site. 6 survivors were pulled out after 6 hours. The search for one missing skier continued through Wednesday in conditions the Sierra Avalanche Center described as unstable and unpredictable. Could more have been done? The Avalanche watch was issued before the group departed. Warnings were public. The question now is whether the guided tour operator adequately communicated the risk. And in the Ohio Valley, the Storm Prediction Center issued its outlook a full day in advance. For the millions in the threat zone, the question is not whether they were warned, it is whether they will act on it. What will you do when the tornado warning hits your phone at 4 p.m. tomorrow? This week reveals a pattern that meteorologists and emergency managers have been warning about for years. The same atmospheric instability that produces extreme warmth, drought, and wind across the plains creates the collision zones for severe weather farther east. Temperatures near 70 degrees in Louisville in mid-February are not normal. Wildfire seasons that used to peak in summer are now year-round events, and avalanche conditions are shifting as winter snowpack patterns become more erratic, with long, dry spells followed by extreme dumps. But here's what nobody else is telling you yet. Long-range models are showing a broader pattern shift heading into early March. The Climate Prediction Center's 3 to 4 week outlook, covering late February through mid-March, shows wetter than normal conditions across the Midwest and Great Lakes, with warmer than average temperatures from the Rockies to the Atlantic seaboard. Forecasters say this reflects lingering La Nina influences and the transition toward spring, but active weather means more potential for severe outbreaks. Another system could develop as early as the first week of March. I will be monitoring that closely and will have a full update as the models come into better agreement. After this weekend, the overall temperature pattern for the lower 48 states is expected to trend above average for at least the next 2 weeks, especially from Tucson to Atlanta and Houston to Sioux Falls. It is going to feel more like spring than the dead of winter, but do not let that fool you. Spring warmth and active weather patterns are exactly the combination that produces the most dangerous severe weather season in the country. Let us recap what we have covered. The Ranger Road Fire has burned approximately 145 acres, injured 4 firefighters, destroyed homes, and is still spreading from Oklahoma into Kansas. A 5% tornado probability covering the Ohio Valley tomorrow between 2 p.m. and 10 p.m., 8 skiers dead in the deadliest U.S. avalanche in nearly 50 years, a potential nor'easter forming for the Northeast this weekend, and a temperature crash of more than 30 degrees in 12 hours hitting the central U.S. Friday morning. You now have all the information you need. If you want real-time updates as the storms develop tomorrow, drop your location in the comments. Tell me where you are watching from, and I will give you personalized timing and threat levels as conditions evolve. Thousands of people are already doing this and getting critical updates. Share this video with everyone you know in the Ohio Valley and Oklahoma in the Northeast. They need to see this before tomorrow afternoon. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. I hope the tornadoes do not materialize. I hope the fire gets contained. I hope the nor'easter tracks out to sea, but the data says otherwise. You have been warned. You have the information. What you do with it is up to you. Here is the question I want you to think about. 8 skiers received an avalanche warning before they left. Millions of Americans have a tornado watch posted for tomorrow. Entire communities were told to evacuate ahead of wildfires. When the warning comes, will you act on it?